How you doing, folks? It's Jason here, and today's a special day. I'm doing a review in response to Chad's challenge on how do I rate my beers. I just want to say first off, um, first things first, that I am not an expert in beers, and I don't know all about brewing processes, and I don't know, you know, every detail about beers. I just like trying different beers and have an open mind to, exploring all the beers out there and good quality beers. Um, and that being said, I like to get right into my grading system. Okay, so the way I get or rate a beer, there's about three or four components that I use to rate my beers. The first one would be the head and the color of the beer. Okay, does it have a head or not? What kind of head is it? Is it a foamy head or whatever? Is it something that looks appealing? And the color, is it something that looks appealing, or is it something that's just, you know, run of the mill, looks like every other beer? Now, I know a lot of beers are going to have similar colors and all that, so that's a very minor point in grading a beer. Um, a little bit of a bigger, the second biggest point in grading a beer would be the aroma. So the smell and the aroma. Does it have an interesting aroma? Is it something that is appealing again? Is it something that's interesting and has character? Or is it something that's bland, like a Budweiser, doesn't have any flavor or aroma? So that's very important to grading a beer. And also, can you point out the smell of it? Can you point out the hoppy smell? Can you point out the fruity smell? Or, if it's a stout, can you smell some of that chocolatey or coffee-like smell? So that's all important. Also, the most important thing in a beer, to me, is the flavor. You know, and the flavor, there's a sub point to flavor, but I'll get to that next. The flavor is, number one. I mean, that does it, have character, or is it watered down? Does it have a hoppy bite, or does it have a sweet malty taste to it? If it's, a stout, does it have those roasted barley and roasted hops and all that? Can you taste all of that, or is it, just something that's uh, bland and claims to be, a great beer, but isn't? So it's all about how does the beer stand up on its own 2 feet. As Chad brought out, I think it's a really good point. To grade the beer on its own. How does it, as an original beer, is it something that's interesting, and or is it something that's run of the mill, like a Miller Lite or Coors Light, or a Budweiser or a Busch Light? You can't even taste the difference between those beers because they're all the same practically. You don't notice any difference between them or anything special about them. You know, they all look the same too. So they don't have any characteristics that you know are appealing or interesting or any of that. So the flavor is the third point, and the sub point is, does it have a aftertaste to it? Like, is it smooth, or is it have a skunky aftertaste, or whatever? Does it have an interesting aftertaste? Does it have a nutty aftertaste or a honey aftertaste or whatever? But the thing um, is it drinkable? You know, that's how I grade it. If it's if it has a skunky taste, that's gonna get a bad grade automatically. I mean, I don't like skunky taste or a wine taste, but it's all about the overall drinkability, which is the flavor. Um, and that being said, my grading scale, I've thought about it and I want to change it. I have a 1 to 10 grading scale. I'm not too happy with that because, I figure a 10 is an A and a 5 is an F, but what about a 4, 3, 2, and 1? Well, that's just redundant. So I'm going from a 1 to 5 scale. 5 being absolute perfection, the best, which I haven't found a beer like that yet. But basically, a 5 is an A. But I'm gonna give like a 4.5 or a 4. I'll use decimals. So a 4 is a B, a 5 is an A. But if it gets like a 5, you know, and a half or something, you know, then that is like absolute perfection. So in other words, to get a 5, it is like it has to be a really good beer, an A quality beer, a world class beer, but not world class like Budweiser, like a real, um, beer festival winner. Um, so one is absolute crap. That's like Budweiser or Miller Lite or Busch or something like that. 4 would be above average. 3 would be average. Something that I would recommend to try only once. Um, and again, I said I'll use decimal system if it's one of those that's like kind of in the middle, like say the blueberry lager, that would be a C. That would be a 3. But I'd probably give it a 3.75 just because it is something that I would recommend to try once. But B is above average, 4, and those are beers that I would recommend people to try. Those are above average quality beers, but not, you know, the best. So that's how I rate my beers. Um, if you enjoy my beer reviews, please subscribe. I have a lot of good beers that I want to try, and I have a lot of good beer reviews coming up, and special events I may put up. So keep watching, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time.